The United Nations Environmental Project, in its August 2011 report, said that salvaging the Ogoni region from decades of oil pollution would take about 30 years.
The same document also identified 8 areas of intervention that require immediate action. Some environmentalists in the region are unhappy with work so far in the implementation of the United Nations Environmental Program report on Ogoni land.
They lament the effect of decades of pollution on the people still bearing the brunt of the activities of oil exploration and exploitation in their communities. They're advocating a more critical assessment of the agencies handling the Ogoni cleanup and the hydrocarbon pollution remediation project. Joining us now is the President General, Ogoni Youth Federation, Comrade Legbosi Yamaabana. It's good to have you join us this morning, Comrade. Now, when we talk about the Ogoni cleanup, the government at one time has brought up reports that the work was ongoing and making progress. But sometimes when we speak to people from that area, they say the reports are not exactly true. Can you put the record straight for us on what the state of the Ogoni cleanup is right now?
Well, thank you very much. The Ogoni cleanup project has actually been compromised. When we talk about the cleanup projects, people seem not to understand. For instance, the United Nations set out a set of recommendations that ought to be done, starting with the emergency measures, and that is the provision of clean, potable water for the people, because the report says that the people of Ogoni are drinking water contaminated with benzene and hydrocarbon. That has not been done. After about 5 years of the flag off of the cleanup projects. Another part of the emergency measures talks about the medical registry for those that have been drinking water contaminated with highly hydrocarbon substances. That registry has not been put in place. It goes further to say that there should be a center of excellence in restoration. That has not been done. There's another key element of it, which has to do with illegal oil bunkering. And the United Nations, in page 13 of the UNEP report, stated it clear and explicit that before the cleanup projects, there should be a deliberate attempt to ensure that oil bunkering is stopped. And for that purpose, the sum of $10 million was earmarked to create alternative employment for those in oil bunkering. But that has not been done. And today, an agency set up to clean Ogoni land claims to be doing the right thing alongside with illegal oil bunkering, which is known as fire. And this is sad that all this while things are not being done rightly. And the impression that the managers of this cleanup possess is that all is well. Meanwhile, all is not well. They are hibernating under the covers of the federal government. And one man known as Mike Cowell, who claims to be a staff of the United Nations Environment Program, to slight the Ogoni people. This appears to be the final nail in the Ogoni coffin, because the right thing has not been done. What we have come to observe, and much to our chagrin, is that after the release of each tranche of funds, the expenditure pattern has not only been opaque and fraudulent, but has actually run counter to the very recommendations.
All right, Comrade
Legbosi,
I might have to interrupt you at this point. There are reports saying that about 70% of the cleanup has been done so far, and those about 20 agencies are in charge of all of this cleanup and following the UNEP report. What really is the grouse, and how have you been engaging these agencies to ensure that everything you have mentioned now are brought to bear on the region?
Well, it is a pathological lie for HYPREP and the Federal Ministry of Environment to say that about 70% of success has been achieved. That is not correct. For instance, the agency cleaning our land, HYPREP, doesn't even have what we call key performance indicator. They don't have it. They don't have their success indicator. That is not correct. As for the attempts we have made thus far, oh my God, just recently we were in the office of the Federal Ministry of Environment. We went to see the minister. And to our greatest chagrin, while we were in the conference room waiting for the minister, some people barged in and crashed into the office. In the conference room of the minister, where there should be security and protocol, and truncated that meeting. You see, and we are still asking, now why would this happen if there is no insider to ensure that our complaint does not get to the appropriate authority? We have made drastic efforts. Just on the 16th of this month, the case filed by the Ogoni Youth Federation against the Federal Ministry of Environment and High Prep was struck at in the Port Harcourt Federal High Court. And why was the case struck at? The judge clearly stated that High Prep is not known to the law. High Prep cannot sue and High Prep cannot be sued. And we receive it with rude shock that an agency managing a $1 billion, a whooping $1 billion, is not known to the law. And that is why its managers can embark and enroll in massive financial malfeasance that is going on today. I can tell you categorically that the cleanup project is as corrupt as the NDDC, and a probe into it will save Ogoni land and ensure that this cleanup is not delivered dead on arrival. The right thing is not being done at all. We are at home, and I also call on the international community to, beam their satellite into what is going on in the cleanup. I call on the Nigerian society, because the thing is that if this cleanup is not being carried out well, it will be a danger in the Niger Delta. Because it will serve as a litmus test to other parts of the delta that is polluted. All right, comrade, the point there is there are also reports that sons and daughters of Ogoni who are supposed to share in the sentiments of the community and what everyone is going through sometimes are the ones frustrating the effort of the United Nations, as well as the federal ministry and government agencies that are working to clean up the Ogoni land. What do you say about that? Well, it is not far from the truth, but it's not entirely the truth. Because if government wants to do this cleanup, they will do it holistically and ensure that there's transparency and accountability. Like I said, the issue why we went to court was hinged on accountability and transparency, because everything going up in the cleanup is being shrouded in secrecy. That is one. As for our sons and daughters being part of the whole thing and it's not being done or carried out in accordance with the recommendations of the NEP reports, it is also correct. And I will tell you that in every 12, there must and there is a Judah. These few Ogonis has actually connived with our enemies to ensure that we all died. I mean, how could you have, it's unfathomable that as simple as clean potable water for a people that is drinking chemical in place of water has not been provided. And a whooping $360 million, $360 million has been released thus far. You know, and these monies are not being used judiciously. What we have observed is that people are pocketing it. And when we talk, the Nigerian state does not want to respond to our cry. Is it because we are doing it non-violently? As anchored by our hero, Ken Saro-Wiwa, we are very sad. And as I speak with you, Ogoni people are jittered. And anytime soon, they may revolt. We don't pray for that. I'm not a prophet of doom. But the right thing must be done. Because what is going on here in Ogoni is that the owners of the project, the real owners of the project, which are the fishermen that their waterways have been polluted, the farmers whose land has been condemned, does not have any information whatsoever to what is happening. There is a complete divorce from the people. And this cleanup project didn't come as a result of government wanting to help us. It came as a result of decades of struggle and agitation by the Ogoni people, and of course by lovers of Ogoni, and of course the media. We have agitated, and when this thing ought to come as one of the first success of the agitation, people are bastardizing it. People are compromising it. Okay. And everything you do, people will send people after you to ensure that their secret is not being exposed. For instance, Comrade,
we have to leave you here now due to time. But this discussion is going to continue because I know that you have a lot to say and concerning what is going on in Ogoni land. Certainly, these are the issues that people are talking about. Because
absolutely, because they are there. They are the ones feeling the pinch.
They feel the pain.
So it's important that they speak out so that perhaps the government can beam a searchlight to that area and do what is necessary to make sure that they get the benefit of what the exercise is about.
Exactly.
Absolutely.